Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about keeping cool during emergencies and power outages. And I'm going to show you one thing that we're going to test out today and see if it's actually worth it. Alright everybody, welcome back. So this is the new Arctic Air Pro. This is a newer, I think it's got a bigger reserve well in it, a bigger tank. And this is new from Arctic Air. Now you remember, I don't know, 2 years ago, I tested the original one, and I was actually pretty impressed with it, and I've used it a few times since, and it seems to do its job. Now with summer here, it's definitely time to start thinking about keeping cool. If you live in an area like I do with extreme heat, keeping cool could be a matter of life or death. As somebody who's lived in this house for a while and gone through a few power outages, let me tell you, this place heats up. It doesn't heat up quick, but you go to sleep one night without AC, you'll wake up and it'll be 115 in the house. So you definitely want to keep something like this around as a personal cooling device. Now I do have a portable swamp cooler, and that's similar to what this is, and that does work well as well, and it's a bigger one, it's a bigger unit. But with that said, I want to talk to you about why I feel this is important. We've seen a lot of hacking and ransomware attacks on companies lately. We've seen it on our meat supply, which thankfully they got cleared up. We've seen it on pipelines. And now our government is talking about, well, you know, this is just going to be a part of life, so we may see this in our energy industry as well. So imagine living in the extreme heat and them deciding to take a electricity line hostage, you know, or an electric company hostage, you know, with ransomware. You know, you've got a real serious problem. So that's why I'm thinking about other ways to keep cool. Now, yes, I have solar. I have a generator. I do have window units for my house, and in extreme situations, those work great. But for people that may not have the access to those things, or maybe you don't, you know, maybe you live in an apartment and you can't run a generator outside of your place if you're up on the 15th floor, this is definitely a cool little way to keep cool. It is dual powered as well. You can plug it into a DC outlet, or you can also run it off USB AC. So that makes it really, really handy. Now, let's talk about where these units actually work. Last video I did, I had a lot of people saying, I bought one of these and it made everything hotter. Well, yeah. If you have an area where you have high humidity, like, say, Florida, you know, or I remember New York City being near the Hudson River, was always, you know, very high in humidity when it was warm. These aren't going to work that well. If you have an area like I live, which is the Nevada desert, these work amazing. And some people only have swamp coolers in the houses. They don't even have air conditioning, and they work more than well enough. So what I want to do quickly is show you how this works, show you if it cools off or not. We have our little temperature gun out for that, and see if this one's any better than the original. I can tell you I don't have the original anymore, so I don't have it anymore, but we're going to see if this one cools as well or better than that one. Now I got to say the original one did work very well. One thing I've noticed about these is you can't move them very much. Once you fill them up with water, if you move them around a little bit, they're going to spill. So what I'm going to do is fill this up with water and show you how it works and give you a quick run through on it, and then we're going to test it. Now they say this is 20% more cooling power. You do have an adjustable kind of vent up here, which is nice because the other one was just straight out. This will also purify your air as well. It has a very large filter in it, and they do recommend that you wet that filter down before running it. You can also put that filter in your freezer if you want. I've generally found that some small ice cubes and some cold water in there work perfect. I think freezing it's way too much work. Plus, you never know when you're going to need this. The power could go out right now and I'd need it, you know? So you never really know. So you can't just keep one in your freezer the whole time. So let me show you the insides of this. Let me get the box out of the way and quickly show you the filter. This just pulls up here. Now you'll notice the filter is down below the bottom ridge here. You're going to have to pick that filter up and pull it out like this. You'll notice this paper on the bottom here. This paper will wick the water into here. So what we're going to do is wet this first, and then we're going to fill up the tank on the side here with some water. That way, that water will run a lot longer. And if you wet this first, and you fill that tank up with water, this will last 10 hours on the water that's in it. So let's give that a try, and I'll bring you back in a second. Alright, so I just soaked that quickly in some water. I really just ran water over it. We're going to pour some water in the side here, but first I want to show you how this is powered. Let me show you what it comes with. You get a plug adapter, USB plug, an instruction manual, but it is pretty self-evident how this works. It's really not that difficult. Today we're just going to use this, but I am going to demo it on battery power as well. So, let's get this rolled in here. I'm going to put this in here, plug that into the adapter back here, and this cord is very, very long, which is nice. You've got a nice long distance from your plug if you need it. This goes in here. It's just a standard USB cable. There's nothing fancy about it. So any of your regular USB cables will fit in there. It is not a USB-C. It's just a standard mini USB. So let's pour some water in here on the side. I'm not putting ice in this today. I just want to see how it works purely from a first use standpoint. Now again, I'm going to have to be careful here. I don't want to spill that. Let's put the cover back on. Turn it on. And we are getting nice cool air out of there. It's definitely blowing a lot harder than the old unit. I remember the old unit not blowing as hard. Now you have your lights over here. I guess you can change the lights out if you want to have different colors. Doesn't really matter to me. You can make them rotate and all that. It's just kind of a nice little thing there if you're using this at night. So you got this multi-directional air vent. That's blowing up right on me now. That is cool air. Yeah, that's actually really impressive. So what I'm going to do is let this run a tiny little bit, and I'm going to put something in front of it. We're going to measure the temperature of that thing, and then we're going to let this blow on it for a while and see if it cools down. But first, just starting it, I want to measure the temperature coming off this. So it's 70, 69, 69.8, 69.65. So it's going down, and let's get a reading off the wall there. It's at 85 degrees on that civil defense sign back there. So it's definitely blowing out cold air. So I'm going to let this circulate a tiny little bit, and then we're going to let it blow on the box actually from the unit and see if that cools it down some. Alright, so I'm taking a reading of the temperature of the box. The box is showing up at 85, 86 degrees. I don't know if you can see that on camera though. We're going to put this in front of it, and that's about a good distance. 2-3 feet away. And we're going to see if it cools that box off in a few minutes. Alright, it's been running for about 5 minutes. Now you have to remember, this is a personal cooler. This is not an air conditioning unit, nor is it designed to make an entire house cold. What this does is blows on you to cool you off. I've used this, the older version of this, on my desk many times when it's been way hot or the AC's down for repair or anything like that. So that's really its job. Its job is to cool you off, not the whole house. So some people have bought these in the past and thought they were supposed to cool their whole house out like miniature air conditioners. Doesn't work that way. So let's see, that was about 85 degrees when we started. I'm showing 77, 72, 79. Let's get it straight on there. Yeah, so it's cooled down a good 10 degrees already. Not bad. Let's take the reading off the front of this. And I'm showing 69, 65. I hope you can see that. Let's see. 64. So it's definitely blowing cold air out. And it does feel, right here, it feels like the vent of an air conditioner. Like the air conditioner in your vehicle, per se. So what I want to do is see how well it cools off that hot wall. That's an outside-facing wall. I mean, the other side of it's right there on the sun. So we're going to see how well that cools that off. We know from a distance it will cool this off. And it is kind of warm in here right now in this garage. It is, let me see my temperature gauge, 82 inside here. So, let's get a reading on the wall there. We'll go on the PMAG. Actually, we'll go right under the PMAG. It's showing 82 degrees. Yeah. Let's turn this around and give it some time. And let's see how well that works. Now remember, this is a long-term cooling. This is not going to cool you off within seconds. This is going to take the temperature down slowly over time. I don't want people to think that this is an air conditioning unit, because it isn't. It is a cooler. It is a swamp cooler, essentially. And like I said before, if you live in a very humid climate, something like this is not going to work for you. It's just going to make you feel stickier, hotter, and messier. So you definitely don't want to use something like that if you're in a very, very warm climate, a very humid climate. Now out here in the desert, where humidity could be under 10% all summer long, maybe 4, 5, 6%, this kicks butt. This does exactly what it's supposed to do. So definitely a cool little thing. So let me let that run there. I'm going to pull it back a little bit because that's a little close. and let that run, and we'll see how well that cools that wall off. Alright, so let's see how it's done. It's probably been about 4 minutes. It hasn't been super long. That's where we were before. That's gone down to 77 degrees. And that was 84, 85, I forget a few minutes ago what it was. But it's definitely taking the temperature down. And that's an outside-facing wall with stucco, you know, and it's insulated and pretty warm there. So it's definitely, you can feel the cold coming off it. You can feel the cold in the wall here. It's definitely colder. So you may wonder why I have this stuff out here. Well, I'm going to show you how you can run this even if there's a power outage and you don't have any kind of way to power it other than a backup battery. Alright, so your power's out, your house is hot, you want to cool off, and all you have is one of these little backup battery banks. You'll notice this one has a bunch of solar panels. Well, this cord is long enough to get this near a window or outside somewhere where it's a little bit cooler. We're going to plug it in, try it out. Okay, let's turn it on. And there we go. So something as small as that, I believe this has a 25,000 milliamp hour capacity in it. We'll run this thing nice and cool. And another cool point is if you have a power bank. You know, if you have one of these power stations, you can run it off that both on AC and DC with your USB plug or with the adapter plug, which is still in my power strip back here, very, very easily. So let's try that as well, really, really quickly. All right, we're going to unplug it. I'm going to turn it off. Unplug it from this little guy and fold him back up. Okay, and let's bring it over here. Now the first thing we're going to do is turn this on. There we go. And I'm just going to plug it in here. Other way. Turn on my USB port. And there we go. And I'm not sure that's 3 watts output, 4 watts. Let's see when it goes up to speed. Let's see, we're up to about 6 watts. So this is a 300 watt battery backup, the Rockpals 300, and it's got 2,808 watt hours. So this will run that a good long time. Let's try it on the, let me turn that off, turn on the AC current. Alright, so let's try that there, plug it in, turn it on. See if it stays at 6 watts using the internal inverter. We've actually gone up to 7 or 8 watts on that using the internal inverter here. But easily, that would last you a really long time. So if you live in an area, and I do have this facing me, and it's actually really nice. It's a little bit loud to use on video, but for your house, you can hear that. That's not all that loud. Just let you hear it there. It's really not all that loud, and when you're trying to keep cool in an emergency situation, definitely come in handy. I could definitely see it coming in handy. You could have this blowing on you while you're sitting at your desk, whatever, while you're trying to work. Definitely a way to cool off. And like I said, when you live out here in a desert that's really hot, you know, in the summertime we get up to 115, 112, you'll definitely want something like this in an emergency. You know, that's when you can really start getting heat exhaustion and really start getting sick. So along with remembering to hydrate, having something like this, definitely a good thing. I will say this does feel like it's blowing a little bit stronger than the original one, and it's definitely cooler. I remember the original one took a while to get up to temperature, and this feels like if you've ever felt your vent fan from your AC in your car, I mean, that feels like air conditioning coming out of it. Let's get a reading again. Probably not anywhere near as cool as air conditioning, but that's 61 degrees. You know, that's pretty darn good. I really can't complain about it. And with the versatility of power use and the way you can use this to keep yourself cool with a power outage, and the way they're talking about these cyber terror things going on that may just become a part of life, keeping yourself cool in a hot situation, definitely really cool. Now, just for fun, taking this camping, taking it in your tent, good idea. I think that would work very well. If you have an RV that doesn't have air conditioning or you don't want to run the air conditioning nonstop, definitely a cool thing to have. Remember though, if you take your RV to the beach in California on the water and it's 98 degrees, you're on the water. That's going to be a pretty humid environment, and that may make you even hotter, you know, may make you more uncomfortable. So definitely a cool thing. This is the Arctic Air Ultra Cooler. This is their new version. I will show you the box again. The Arctic Air Pro. Let's show you the side. It doesn't have all the Amazon stickers on it. And there you go. You can check it out at any point. I do like the fact that you got the movable air vent, because that was one of my complaints with the other unit, was the air vent didn't move. So if I had it up on my toolbox over there, or up on my shelf over there, it was kind of blowing straight out up here, or blowing down here, and never getting me in the face. And that's what these are for. They're to cool your head and face area. Once that area gets cool, you'll feel a whole lot cooler all in all. So definitely a cool little thing. It weighs about 2.6 pounds without water in it. The product dimensions are 10.1 by 11.1 by 12.1 inches. So it's a little bit shorter than the original unit, but it does seem to run a little bit higher. I think they have an improved fan, and I did notice that the fan on there is actually marked Arctic Air. It's not some generic random fan that they started to put in there. So definitely works much better. I can definitely feel it blowing on me. It's nice, actually. And it's very lightweight, and it is fairly quiet. I mean, if you have to sleep in dead silence overnight, something like that might bother you. But I actually find that sound kind of soothing. So anyway, that is the Arctic Air Pro. That is the new version. I will have a link down below in my Amazon store if you're interested in checking out more info on it, or if you're interested in picking one up. I definitely recommend it for times like this. We're facing a lot of uncertainties, and something as small as keeping cool can really be a lifesaver if it gets really, really hot. Even in areas where it doesn't get as hot, you know. Where I lived in California, this probably wouldn't have worked as well because I was right on the water. But out here, that's a lifesaver. That's really, really nice. So that is the Arctic Air Pro. Like I said, there'll be a link down below where you can pick that up. Don't forget to check out our Amazon affiliate store if you're interested in anything we sell in there. I have 3 different sections right now. We're moving to make it 4 different sections and make it a little more organized. Don't forget to check out our freeze-dried wholesalers link down below as well. You can get a 15% discount on freeze-dried wholesale order by clicking that link. And I do have more videos coming up of stuff we're going to test from him. I ordered a bunch of stuff coming up, and he's sending me some stuff to check out too, all his new products. So we're going to have a lot more coming from him. Don't forget our My Patriot Supply link. That is preparewithiridium.com, preparewithiridium.com. We have some amazing sales going on there. If you're looking for 25-year shelf life, set and forget emergency food, that's the place to go. And our Thrive Life freeze-dried store as well. You can get set up there. There's nothing to join. Just go in there, check out some of the stuff, and see if you like it. It's very pure, clean, good food. Anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.